Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel Battleverse. Today we are diving deep into one of the most shocking and devastating events in the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war, a massive wave of drone and missile strikes that shook the Ukrainian capital, Kyiv, leaving 23 people dead and dozens more injured. This event was not just another chapter in the war, but a demonstration of how modern warfare has evolved into a destructive blend of unmanned aerial systems, precision-guided missiles, and psychological warfare designed to break the resilience of a population under siege. In this analysis, we will unpack the scale of the attack, the details of how the weapons were used, the performance of Ukraine's defense systems, the safety measures taken by civilians and authorities, the unique selling points of this operation from a military perspective, the symbolic and strategic cost of this assault, and finally reach a conclusion on what this means for the future of the conflict. When we look at the exterior of this strike, we can see the sheer magnitude of destruction caused across Kyiv. Apartment buildings were shredded by explosions, cars burned in the streets, and critical infrastructure like power grids and water systems were rattled once again. From the outside, the scene painted a terrifying picture of chaos and devastation. Entire neighborhoods were plunged into darkness, families scrambled through smoke, filled staircases, and first responders rushed through rubble, strewn streets to rescue trapped civilians. The attack showcased not only the deadly reach of Russian military power, but also the vulnerability of a city that has been living under the shadow of air raid sirens for nearly 2 years. The visual exterior of the city became symbolic. Kyiv once again scarred but still standing, battered but unbroken. Now, when we shift into the interior aspect of this tragedy, it becomes even more painful and powerful. Inside homes, the strikes tore through walls, sending shards of glass flying across living rooms where children had just been playing. Families huddled together in hallways, trying to shield themselves from the blast waves, while many were forced to seek safety deep underground in metro stations that have doubled as bomb shelters since the war began. The emotional interior of Kyiv's people is one of resilience and suffering combined. Parents tried to comfort crying children, telling them it would be all right, even as the ground shook beneath their feet. Hospitals, already overwhelmed, filled with the injured, burn victims, those suffering from shrapnel wounds, and elderly citizens in shock. Nurses and doctors worked tirelessly, stitching wounds under candlelight when the power grid faltered. Inside the psyche of the Ukrainian people, the attack reinforced a grim reality. No matter how hard they try to live normally, the war has a way of clawing back into their daily lives. It's here, in this interior reality of broken homes, shattered families, and sleepless nights, that the true impact of the strikes is most painfully visible. The emotional scars, the psychological trauma, and the constant tension of survival form a landscape as scarred as the physical ruins of Kyiv itself. From a performance perspective, this assault showcased both Russian capabilities and Ukrainian defenses. Russia deployed a mixture of Shahd drones, cheap, mass-produced, but deadly in their numbers, and precision missiles aimed at overwhelming Ukraine's air defenses. In terms of performance, the Russian strategy relied on swarming tactics, sending dozens of drones at once to saturate Kyiv's defensive systems. Ukrainian forces, relying on Western, supplied air defense systems such as Patriot, NASAMS, and Iris-T, managed to intercept a significant portion of the incoming projectiles, but not all. Some slipped through, with tragic consequences. The performance of Ukraine's anti-aircraft units was impressive given the scale of the assault, shooting down dozens of drones in the skies over Kyiv. But the reality is that even one or two that get through can cause enormous destruction. Russia's performance in this attack was not just about hitting targets, but also about testing Ukraine's defensive limits, probing for weaknesses, and sending a political message to both Kyiv and its Western allies that Moscow still retains the ability to escalate dramatically. When we turn towards safety features, we see a dual perspective. On the one hand, Ukraine has invested heavily in building a network of shelters, alert systems, and rapid response units. Air raid sirens function as an early warning safety feature, giving people precious minutes to seek cover. Metro stations in Kyiv remain among the most reliable safety havens, with thousands of civilians descending underground during strikes. Rescue services, trained and disciplined after months of war, deploy quickly to secure damaged areas and evacuate survivors. But on the other side, the lack of safety for civilians is evident. No defense system is foolproof, and the sheer intensity of the strikes means that even with precautions, innocent lives are still lost. The safety features of Kyiv's defense are strong but constantly under strain, stretched by repeated barrages that test both the physical infrastructure and the morale of the people. Unique selling points of this event from Russia's perspective lie in the demonstration of continued military pressure. For Moscow, launching such a concentrated strike is both a tactical and strategic communication tool. It signals to Ukraine that nowhere is safe, even the capital, and it shows the West that Russian stockpiles of drones and missiles remain formidable despite sanctions and prolonged conflict. On the Ukrainian side, the unique selling point is resilience, the ability to shoot down the majority of incoming threats and maintain the functioning of the city despite devastation. The very fact that Kyiv can absorb such punishment and still operate is itself a message to both Russia and the world. The Ukrainian government also uses these moments to strengthen its call for more advanced air defenses, more Western support, and a recognition that Ukraine's fight is not just its own but one that defines the stability of Europe. If we were to measure the price of this assault, it cannot be counted in dollars or rubles alone. The price is measured in human lives: 23 dead, countless families torn apart, and survivors who will live with permanent injuries and trauma. Economically, every strike pushes Ukraine further into the challenge of rebuilding homes, repairing power lines, and reconstructing hospitals. The price also falls on Russia, whose reliance on massive barrages drains its military reserves, consumes valuable resources, and further isolates it diplomatically. Internationally, the price is also political. With every civilian death, Russia loses more credibility on the world stage, while Ukraine garners more sympathy and support. For ordinary Ukrainians, however, the price is simple and devastating. The loss of loved ones, the destruction of neighborhoods, and the uncertainty of whether tomorrow will bring another night of fire and explosions. In conclusion, this strike was not just another attack, it was a statement, a reminder of the stakes of this war, and a demonstration of how modern conflicts target both the body and spirit of a nation. Kyiv was shaken but not broken. The people were devastated but not defeated. Russia displayed its ability to unleash destruction, but Ukraine displayed its capacity to endure. The war will continue, but moments like this clarify the reality. Resilience is as much a weapon as missiles and drones, and in the battle for Kyiv's survival, the human spirit remains the strongest defense.